What's up, everybody? Man, we had this awesome debate last night. Holocaust debate. Not many of those on YouTube or like anywhere else, really. I think for a number of reasons, these debates are kind of shunned. They'll get deleted. And there's an impediment on both sides. It seems like revisionists, they're pretty finicky about debating. For all their confidence that it was fake. They're pretty particular on how they debate. And then on the historian side, there's definitely a lot of resistance there to debating on this. I'm just driving my car, so I don't have my normal mental acuity because I gotta concentrate on not crashing. But anyway, this is the reason why there's multiple reasons why there's not many of these debates. Historians don't want to debate revisionists because they feel like it's beneath them, it's counterproductive. These people are uncouth, not very fun to deal with, as Matthew found out last night. But he's really smart, he's a good sport. It's an interesting topic, just even the topic of actually debating it, because, Lipstadt, who's actually not a historian to begin with. She's more of like a sociologist, I believe. She's more of like a Jewish cultural expert, or the Holocaust as a cultural phenomenon, not like the actual history behind it, which is a totally different topic altogether. But they wouldn't debate it because you don't want to give somebody like Irving a platform, right? It's like, okay, if you debate the Holocaust, should you debate Alex Jones on whether Sandy Hook happened when everybody acknowledges that it does, aside from a small fringe? Or Alex Jones just said all the tornadoes were created by the government. Should you debate somebody on that? That's the rationale for why they don't do these debates. Now Matthew comes along and he said he's a historian or a PhD, historian in training, whatever you want to call him. But you can tell he's really smart, he knows a lot about the Holocaust, speaks or at least writes German or reads German and Arabic, actually, goes to the archive, so he's very smart, very capable, especially for somebody who's willing to engage in these types of debates or discussions, which is small to begin with because, you get tarnished, right? So he's pretty brave, he's pretty smart. So his rationale is, you're going kind of into, it's hard to find a platform where you can actually debate this. So if you actually do go and debate it, discuss it, it's mostly revisionists and deniers on there anyway. So maybe you can actually reach some of them. And then, I don't know if this is his line of thinking, but it's my line of thinking, this right here, which is, since all these Wignat types, the most emphasized thing is denying the Holocaust. If you can poke holes in that, which is pretty easy to do, it just depends on if they see it or not. If you poke holes in that, you kind of poke holes in their whole ideology. So I don't know if he's thinking along those lines, but to me that makes sense, because as he said, if you go and debate on this platform, you might change a couple minds. No one who believes the Holocaust in history is going to be swayed by Marshall, or it seems exceedingly unlikely, since maybe 10% of the audience actually is not a revisionist or not a denier. So to me it makes sense. It's kind of this interesting niche that he can do. I'm somebody who reads a lot about the Holocaust. I just find it to be interesting. I'm watching movies. Yeah, my wife's always yelling at me. She's like, can't we put on something uplifting? All you do is watch Nazi stuff. And I'm like, no, I find it interesting. It's uplifting to me in a way. Anyway, but this guy's an actual legit historian, so totally different level of knowledge. Damn, where's I going with this? So I get the rationale. It's kind of an interesting niche. They started off with initially it seemed long, holy shit, 25-minute opening statement, but it's really barely enough to even scrape the surface of the topic because there's just so much to go through. But for the purposes of a debate, it's fine. They can change it next time. I mean, what are you going to do? Like 45-minute openings, an hour? I mean, Britney is Superwoman, but like, I don't know, that might be testing the limits of her stamina. But I think it was a satisfactory way to do it, and they had some rebuttals, but there was just so many pieces of information to go through, like so many things to rebut. They kind of struggled with all their notes, which is understandable. But I mean, shit, I don't know if I want to say Marshall did a good job, but for arguing revisionism, I would say he did like a satisfactory job. Like if you forced me to argue revisionism, I'm not sure I could do a better job than he did. I mean, he has like knowledge of the revision, so I cautiously say they both did a good job. Matthew did especially a great job. I know he was asking me for feedback. Like, he was very organized. He kind of broke it down into 5 different sections, which was great. 2 things I think could have made it better would be it's all about the total deaths, which in my mind, that's not the most important thing. It's really getting a handle on what happened. But to these revisionists, the body count is of paramount importance because they like to make hay over it. But there is a good video out there. I hope I can find it, but the guy basically does an approximate total by totaling everything together. So like that would make his argument better, I believe. And also I know it's not his area of expertise, but still, like, some of the main forensics, I mean, documentation might be the most convincing, because documentation shows motive, it shows records, it shows organization. Forensics by themselves, I mean, you look at DNA forensics, they could be really confusing or they could be helpful. But I think just like some mainline forensics, like the chemical testing, just at a basic level, I think is helpful, because everything adds up to be unexplainable by revisionists. So, and he kind of did this, Matthew. It's basically look at all the different classifications of evidence, all the confessions. I don't even really believe in the coerced confessions, because in that case, our whole justice system is bullshit, for that matter. But like all the private confessions, all the documentation, and if you put a revisionist in a position like, explain this, how is this possible if it didn't happen? They have no legit explanation. This is what they did with Irving. He was on the stand, he had to answer questions, and they were asking him at one point about the gas chambers, and his claim was, he claimed it was an air raid shelter. Well, it's 3 miles from the barracks, so could you explain how this functioned as an air raid shelter? Had no explanation. Then I think he claimed it was a morgue, but there's multiple features which make it inconsistent with being a morgue. The doors, the peepholes, the ventilation system. So then he tried to deny the ventilation system, no holes, no Holocaust. But that's how you make fools of these people. Present the evidence and have them explain it away. It's like a murder trial. Like, explain how Nicole's blood was all over OJ's clothes if he didn't kill her. Like, there is no feasible explanation for that. I compare it to the OJ case because I mean, everyone's a little bit familiar with the case. There's a lot of detail, but I remember reading, something like the LAPD, they found chemicals in the blood, so like it looked like maybe the blood was planted. And for a time I thought, like, well, I don't know, maybe there's something to that. Maybe they did plant the evidence. It seems possible. But when you actually look at it, what's apparent is his lawyers were trying to present any possible doubt and exaggerating a small presence of maybe mishandling. So they tried to exaggerate the emphasis on these chemicals to basically try to draw the conclusion that the LAPD planted the blood, which, when you look at everything, is completely ridiculous. But they were able to get these jurors to buy into it, and that's ultimately, at least in part, why he was acquitted. But basically, the revisionist can't explain away the evidence. Marshall tried to some degree. There's multiple things he didn't address. But their main tactic is to basically say, like, it's not possible. It's impossible to have happened. He kept talking about the wood in the tree. Like, there wasn't enough wood in the trees. They come up with all these fake objections, like, well, let's say I go camping, right? There's multiple problems. I need to eat. I need to cook. Like, maybe I don't have the capability to get wood to cook. But you know what? I would go to the store and buy wood or cut it down. Like, the Germans built the Atlantic Wall, which was an absolutely enormous construction project with an absolutely enormous amount of concrete. I believe maybe the biggest concrete construction project ever. So it's like, you know what? The Germans wanted wood. They had trains. They found a way to get the wood there. But, he presents this fake objection. No, there wasn't enough wood. It's physically impossible. And this is what they do, the revisionists, just endless objections. Irving did this with the coking coal. There wouldn't be enough coking coal available to do it. Like, nobody makes these objections for any other historical event. They're just fake objections to, and they're endless, right? You could say, like, oh, they didn't have the train capacity to transport all the people, and they expect you to, like, disprove that by showing that there was in fact a bunch of train capacity. Or kind of like this feigned incredulity, like, why would the Germans waste valuable resources on this if they were fighting on the Eastern Front and didn't have enough resources? Well, in the German mind, this was the front of the war, fighting Jewry, international Jewry, or whatever. But that's basically a summary of the debate. Like, there's a lot of details I missed or I didn't address. Marshall's internet kept cutting out, which kind of sabotaged the debate. But even still, I think it was valuable. This debate went on for 3 goddamn hours, And I told Matt, like, hey, I'll watch it. I'll have your back. I'll support you in the chat, whatever. And it was a good debate, but, man, it was, like, fucking long. And Matt even talked to Trolley Dingo and answered his stupid fucking question about the red. He came on, like, all with this smarmy attitude about the Red Cross. Like, oh, I can't. Let me try to imitate his retarded Southern accent. Oh, do you believe in the you trust the Red Cross, right? And it's just like, Matt knew completely where he was going with this. And then he answered why those numbers are meaningless, and Tingo didn't have anything to fucking say. I think he started talking about something else. But Matt's good. Like, I guess Marshall is good as an opponent. Like, I don't really have much. I can't really speak positively on revisionists. But this Matthew guy's really good. I think he should do more debates. He seems to like it. Like, I think he'll get better. You can really simplify these debates. These Holocaust debates are good, but they honestly really repetitive. You deal with the same objections that have been addressed like 1,000 times. But I think revisionists get tired. So, like, any of them that's actually objective, they'll see, like, all these stupid objections are pointless, and just for the purpose of because people are politically invested in trying to deny this took place. So that's why they come up with these stupid fucking objections. Like, oh, it's not possible. There wasn't enough coal. There wasn't enough wood. It doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know. There wasn't... You can answer all these objections, basically. There's, one of the... I guess this is meant to be like a kind of trolly, edgy method of denial, but there was no autopsied bodies. And of course you would be like, well, it's war and they got rid of everybody. So of course, like, there was no autopsied bodies. Actually, that's not correct. I think it's the Strasbourg camp. It was a smaller camp where they were doing medical experiments. They gassed the inmates and they preserved them in formaldehyde or something. So after the war, they had to preserve bodies. So, like, nope. They have done autopsies on gassed bodies. So another stupid objection eviscerated, like all the rest of them. But I do think it was interesting, despite, like, the repetitiveness, and you think, like, I don't know, just like the suffering madness of arguing with these people. I do think there is something to be gained from it, and Matthew has the expertise to do that. But even him, as smart as he is, like, nobody knows all the chemistry. He's not a chemist, so nobody can answer every single objection, even though there's resources out there. Irving had some of these famous ones, like, look, this document proves that Hitler did everything. He very disingenuously presented this like Hitler was saving the Jews because he said on this one train load, like, the Jews were not to be killed. Well, there was a political purpose for that. Like, they felt like they overstepped their bounds. And he said, like, do not liquidate this train. I think they fucked up and actually did liquidate the train. But that was disingenuously used to try to claim that, like, Hitler was protecting the Jews. It's just all disingenuous argumentation. Very apparent at the Irving trial. But the Irving trial was, what, like 30 years ago almost at this point? I don't know of any other Holocaust debates online, really, other than, like, you know, random discussions that pop up. There was the Shermer, whoever that guy was at the Historical Review. They had a debate that went over these same issues, but again, that was probably like 20 years ago. It's a new group of people, like, it's a new generation online, so I understand the argumentation, like, you should not be having Holocaust debates online. I understand that argument, and, like, that would apply to, say, bigger channels, but it's kind of cool there is a channel that has these debates, because they're going to be, this stuff exists on the internet in some form or way, so it's best to go on their platforms and argue against them and try to convince them why they're full of shit, which is really difficult, because if they were of sound mind, they wouldn't be this full of shit to begin with. But look, people join cults and they get deprogrammed. People do drugs and they become deprogrammed. This is possible. It's just really difficult. It's probably all I'm gonna say on this, but Matthew's a good guy. He should do more of this. Maybe he should take a break for a while. Having to deal with these people might be a bit much, but good performance. Everyone have a good day.